Among all the post-apocalyptic shooters out there, Splatoon is my favorite. With it being Nintendo's first new console IP in a long time, it has gotten a fair amount of attention and praise already. However, I think it's understated how the Splatoon games seem like the perfect merging of so many concepts, dressed up nicely in lore. Splatoon 1 and 2 aren't just Nintendo's answers to competitive shooting games, they're shining examples on why Nintendo makes good games. So let's start with the gameplay. More specifically, one button. Shoot. When you shoot an opponent, they die, or as this game calls it, getting splatted. Same idea as 99% of shooters out there. But shooting also sprays ink. Once on the ground or walls, it can do a few things. For example, enemies move slower in your ink, and vice versa. Being an enemy ink can also damage you a little. But it's not just there to pick on enemies, because you're not just a kid. You're a squid. As a squid, you move faster in your color ink. So transforming is important for mobility. While you can't shoot in this form, you do regain the ink ammunition you need to shoot. If you're swimming outside the ink, it regains pretty slowly, but in the ink it's nearly triple the speed. And for the most part, swimming in ink makes you invisible. Inking the ground not only helps you move and refill your tank, but it's also the main objective for the game. Instead of getting points by splatting other players, your objective is to get the highest percent of the map covered in your ink. So to recap, the shoot button splats opponents, offers space to move, lets you refill ink, slows down opponents, and gives you points to win. Nintendo made this main button have the most important uses in the game. That way, it's easier to understand and more people can learn the game faster. But even though that button has the most weight, there's more ways to spread ink. You have several sub-weapons, like bombs, shuttle pucks, sprinklers, and more. These also consume ink, but offer different forms of coverage. Special weapons also charge the more empty surfaces and enemy turf you cover. It encourages you to keep shooting because these special weapons offer a powerful strike against your enemy. All these sub and special weapons are tied to the weapons you get. The same type of weapon can have a different match of these components, along with unique stats. While the weapons do have traditional categories like shotguns and snipers, there's also ones that aren't just guns. You have weapons that match the theme like paint rollers, brushes, and buckets to slosh paint. Or perhaps you can use an umbrella to block incoming shots. There are a lot of weapons in the game, so you could really pick one that matches your playstyle. To gain weapons, you gotta buy them, which requires money. To get money, you gotta play matches. With the cash you get from battles, you could also buy clothing. Hats, shirts, and shoes all have different abilities and benefits. At first, each piece only has one ability, but playing matches in that outfit will level them up gradually. You unlock skills to help you in battle. Not to mention, the clothes make you look like a rad little inkling. There's a lot of shooters that use these concepts, but the reason why Splatoon does them so well is that they're justified in the game. You aren't just dressing up for good stats in battle. The culture of Splatoon is all about fashion. The reason you're having these turf wars is to earn more money just to become more stylish. Heck, even leveling makes you fresher, letting you get cooler outfits with greater benefits. And the battles come in different forms of this culture. Ranked matches let you try out different modes like King of the Hill or however Rainmaker is supposed to work. Sorry, I'm still a C- rank. Outside multiplayer battles, you also have Salmon Run in the second game. This is framed as a part-time job for the squids. You have to harvest salmon eggs from a horde of oncoming fish. You work together against this horde and repel invasions to get enough eggs, and if you do well enough, you can get promoted. Now, one major complaint about this mode is that it isn't available all the time. In fact, there's a lot of time-locked stuff in Splatoon. Stages are on a constant rotation, only letting you play 2 per time block. New weapons and stages are also slowly rolled out. There was only a handful of stages when the game's released, but the developers offered free updates for both games that added things like stages and even new modes. The only paid DLC is a story mode that complements the one already included in the game. While there is amiibo exclusive events and gear, there's no additional microtransactions in the game. There are some questionable decisions in Splatoon though. You gotta jump through a lot of hoops to play with friends, and you might not even be on the same team. If you want to play any other mode besides Turf Wars, you gotta do a ranked match, unless you have exactly enough people to make a custom match. But if you're playing with friends in Salmon Run, you can fill in missing people. There's no loadout system unless you're playing with Amiibo, and you have zero choice of the composition of your team in Quick Play. But the developers are listening and they make changes where they see fit, even if it does take a long time for something to get implemented. Now, to hear about all these free updates, stage rotations, and Salmon Run availability, you have a few announcers in the game. In the first game, you had the pop-focused Squid Sisters. In the second, you get the hip-hop duo of Off the Hook. While there's lots of fictional bands in the game, these two twos are very important in the universe. They're major figureheads and work alongside a cast of uniquely designed aquatic dudes and dudettes. For example, in the single-player mode, they work as secret agents protecting Apolis. But on the multiplayer side, they have fun with the community with events called Splatfests. These are monthly or even bi-monthly events that let you pick one of two sides of an argument to fight for. Some examples include cats versus dogs, vampires versus werewolves, sci-fi versus fantasy, or even one girl over the other, which, by the way, actually played into the story of the second game. During Splatfest, you get access to special stages and maybe even themed colors. Depending on how your team does, you get a special currency that lets you improve your gear. You could also promote your side through the game's message system. You could draw or write something to share to people, like how you should booyah more, or maybe a dank meme. These messages are shared through the plaza, where you can see different inklings hanging out. These can even end up being graffiti across the different stages. While very minor, it does say that the players have an influence in the world. It's not just a series of menus to get the matches, it's a place where these inklings live. Every aspect of Splatoon is well thought out and seems natural in the game's world. Its mechanics are justified by easy yet deep explanations as to why. It doesn't take itself too seriously, yet takes extra steps to make everything work naturally. It's the blending of shooters and a whole lot of fish puns. Splatoon's known for its unique style, and that's not just because it happens to work. It's because they really made it work. You can really tell how much Nintendo loves this game. It's really earned its keep alongside Nintendo's biggest franchises.